We have like options if you read them out. So welcome everyone to the quarterly Q&A with Christine Shellie and friends.
Hello everyone.
We're glad you're here. For starters, we want to go around the room and do introductions, and we want to know your name and where you live, if you live on campus or somewhere else, and what brought you here today. And then our guest speakers today are going to share some good information for us to take home. A lot of the information will be on the back table, along with giveaways and other fun items. Linda and her crew have made some really neat yummies back there you can take home, and then of course all the yummies over here for while you're here. Has everybody turned in a ticket when you checked in at the table so you can be entered into a drawing? Perfect. So I think for starters, we will start going around the room, and if you can tell us your name and a little bit of where you're from and what's going on, and we'll start right here.
You can't hear you.
Okay.
It's Rachel Brand.
Sorry. Oh yes, Rachel. And Rachel's from our assisted living, so that's wonderful. So then we'll go over here.
I'm Helen Bird, and I live on Evansville, and I'm checking things out for my sister who lives in California.
Wonderful.
Caroline White, I live in the village of Park.
Great.
Charlotte Campbell, and I live in Dartmouth, Illinois.
Wonderful.
You want to know who I am then? Rachel Brand.
Rachel Brandt.
I live in assisted living now. I've been on campus here since '06.
You're running the show here. You've been here a long time.
Just have to listen to me.
Okay, so we'll go back here.
For a messenger, I've been started home 45 to 10 years, but I checked in how the other
Great. Wonderful.
I would like an admission, right?
Great.
My name is Brittany, and I'm the nurse manager for the school board. So
my name is Tanya Reddy. I'm the sales and marketing director for Dallas Retirement Village.
Great. Wonderful. So we'll go over here and work our way over here.
I'm Polly, and I'm the assistant.
I'm Teresa, I don't care navigator for the Gulf Center.
Francie, I'm the executive assistant for Daycare. And my name is Ashley, and I'm the care coordinator.
My name is Stanton Ricky. I'm on the waiting list for DRV.
Great. With him.
Do you want, we just do an introduction?
Okay.
So my name is Hillary Boyce, and I am the Director of Life Enrichment for the campus.
So my name is Jerome Laporte. I am the Director of Rehab Services.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda Saunders. I'm the Campus Dining Services Director.
And I'm Shelley Berry, Director of Admissions and Marketing for Health Services.
Hello everybody, I'm Christine Bravish. I'm the Director of Social Services in the Health Center.
Did we miss anybody? No worries.
Thank you everybody for coming today.
Yes.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, so when Christine and I started this several years ago, oh good, come on in. What we were finding is that we'll just wait for just 1 second so this lovely group can join us. I guess I can continue while they're signing in, but what prompted us to start this was we find a lot of people have a lot of questions about assisted living, memory care, and the health center. Many people, they'll move into the independent living, and then as their health needs change, they find the need that they're possibly going to need health services. And also out in the community, people want to move here directly into our assisted living or the health center or memory care. So we started this time to answer questions. So hopefully today, if you came with questions, we will get those answered for you. And if we can't today, we'll find it out and we'll get right back to you. So our first guest speaker is Hillary, our Life Enrichment Director.
Very good. Well, welcome everybody. So life enrichment, what does that mean? Basically, me and my team, we provide the activities for you guys. The reasons that you want to get up in the morning, adding to your day, bringing you joy throughout your day. So we plan calendars for the whole campus that have a variety of activities on them, anywhere from outings to bingo, to parties, to events, to lectures. My team is the one that does that. And pretty much we have a team dedicated to each part of campus. Now, one of the things that we hear is that when you're on campus, sometimes there's a fear of the unknown of moving to a different area on campus. Maybe you're in independent living and you need to go to assisted living. Maybe you're in independent living and you're going to be at the health center for rehab for a while. But a lot of times there's fear of the unknown. What happens when I move from this area to that area? And in life enrichment, we hope there's no change for you. Our job is to make it seamless, that the activities that you enjoy wherever you're at are the same activities that you're going to enjoy as you move around campus. So we want to make sure that we know you well enough wherever you're at, or when you first come on board here, that we get to know you so well that we know how to program for you no matter where you are on campus. So I don't want that to be a fear of moving from one area to another. We want you to know that whatever brings you joy, you're going to have that joy in any area that you go to the best of our abilities. So that's kind of what my job is to making sure that no matter where you're at, that you're provided the activities, the enjoyments, the parties, the outings that you have enjoyed all along. So that's what we do.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Hillary?
Are we what?
Living in the classroom.
Classroom. So you're interested in educational type of stuff?
I teach in
Oh, fabulous. We may put you, we'll hook you up with a group. And that's kind of nice because a lot of our groups, especially in independent living, are resident run. If we find somebody that has a passion for something, who has taught it during their lifetime, and they want to share it, we want to help you share that with people who would have a similar interest. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff we would want to know once you come here to help facilitate that. Absolutely. We've got lots of rooms we can make into a class.
I was going to say, maybe Tanya and Peggy could get you guys moved in sooner, because I think we need you.
There we go.
Wonderful. Well, if you don't have any more questions for Hillary, we'll now have your room speak for us.
Right, thank you. So some of you guys know me, and I've known you too, since we have some patients. So we provide full-time physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. We have a team that's almost like 15 therapists on board right now. We provide services 7 days a week. We work, for a good portion, we work basically in the health center for our short-term patients, so patients that had a stroke or broke a hip and they come with us for a short time, and then hopefully we'll go back home again. But we also have a really large group of people that are not short-term, so people that are living here on the campus, assisted living, independent, but we also have outpatients coming to our clinic as well. Recently, we actually remodeled one of our areas into an outpatient clinic. So it's all nicely and set up and private for anybody who comes in for a one-on-one treatment. The main thing that we like to do with therapy is to kind of to create some fun and to make it enjoyable to do therapy. Because, you know, doing exercise over and over again is not really fun, right? So we try to create, try to find ideas that people like. And you can actually play with that big machine over there afterwards. It's one of the machines that we use. It's called Max. And it's a big touch screen television where people actually have to stand, they have to reach, they have to think about, and they do games, and actually while they're doing games, they're doing the therapy. So that's what we try to do to make it really fun and make it pleasurable for anybody. So, but yeah, we provide therapy for all the week long and for everybody who comes on campus. So, any questions? Yeah.
Can you tell me how long you've been at Dallas Retirement Village and a little bit about your personal work history?
Well, that's a loaded question because so I've been at the Dallas Retirements for about 4.5 years, and I've been manager basically all the time. I do this work for the last 32 years. The last 25 years I've been in settings like this, and so 7 years before that, I did my training in the Netherlands, and I worked at it for the first 6-7 years. So I did a variety of various hospitals and private clinics, and then I came here in America with the original plan to stay just for a year, but 25 years later I'm still here, so
Lucky
something
us.
must be good. So yeah, over 30 years I've done this work, yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Are you saying I don't have to be under a doctor's care, but I can come over and you will show me how to do the machine? You will show me, will you work with me during therapy?
So if we get we usually need a referral from your doctor, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or if there's a treatment, yes, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's just a legal thing that we cannot go without, yeah.
That goes to exercise.
Anyone else? So before Linda starts, we've had a few guests join us, and I was going to see if we could do introductions for the folks that just came in, if you don't mind.
Would you like to introduce yourself? They're asking everyone's name. Where do you live? All of the guests are sharing. The ladies on the front panel up there.
I'm Wilma Rowe.
Hi, Wilma.
Wilma lives in the village apartment. I live in the village apartment.
Wonderful. We're glad you're here. Thank you. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
I'm Wilma Warren, over in the apartment.
Wonderful. Welcome. Okay.
I'm Ari.
Wonderful. Glad you're here.
I'm Shanina Perez. I'm the memory care administrator here.
Wonderful. Did we miss anybody else? Okay. Thank you. It's just fun to kind of know each other's names, obviously, but what part of the campus you live on, and so anyhow, so thank you for doing that for us. Okay, so now we have Linda Saunders.
So we in dining services across campus prepare, and serve an average of about 900 meals a day. Sometimes even more than that when we have large events. So in addition to preparing and serving all of the meals in all of the dining room venues, we also do things like what you're enjoying here, the refreshments today, so campus catering as well. And of course, we support the big parties that Life Enrichment likes to do, and many other things. And The thing that really unifies our team, I'm very proud of our dining services team. We have a wonderful group of staff who really embrace our mission, which the heart of our mission in dining services is hospitality. We believe very strongly that, you know, most anyone can cook a meal, maybe not 900 meals a day, but most anybody can put food on a table. And what really sets us apart is that we really understand that the folks that dine in our venues, for many of you, you're there 3 meals a day, and it's a very important part of the day. And so hospitality is extremely important. It's not just about food. It's really about how we treat you when you come into our venues. I really believe that the best food, if it's not served with heart, really doesn't taste as good as mediocre food that's served with a great deal of heart. So it makes all the difference to us that our team really embraces that and believes strongly in our mission. Each team in each of the kitchens and dining areas is a little bit uniquely different from each other because each of our dining areas is unique and different. Our assisted living isn't quite the same as our healthcare center, which isn't quite the same as the independent living venues. And so each team has its own area of focus in those venues. And here in the healthcare center, not only do we have cooks and servers, but we also have a team of nutrition care folks who incorporate the diets. Oftentimes folks in healthcare and in assisted living, and this is of course true in independent living as well, are on special diets. And so our unique mission in the healthcare center is to make sure that not only are you getting served great food, but you're getting served great food that is within the diet that can help you maintain the most health. I have brought today, because nutrition is something that I feel very passionate about, I've brought for everybody as a handout, if you're interested, information about the DASH eating diet. Most of us struggle with high blood pressure at some point in our lives, and many of us would like to avoid not being on medication for that. And so please feel free later to come and talk to me about or pick up the handout that I have on the DASH eating plan. It's the way that we actually should all be eating. Most of us will benefit from it and think of it less as a diet than a healthy way of eating. Hopefully you find this information useful for you. Can I answer any questions for you about dining services?
I have one thing I'd like to see if you wouldn't mind talking about is this past year, you and your team introduced a pureed meal option for the assisted living.
Mm-hmm.
Could you touch on that for a little bit?
So very often folks, when they're experiencing either short-term or long-term issues with swallowing, this is a very common problem. Swallowing issues can develop as a result of things like strokes, for instance, is one of the most common reasons. But sometimes folks can't swallow very well just for temporary reasons. It can be anything from having problems with, you know, tooth and other mouth issues to maybe going through a treatment or having gone through an illness which just really is debilitating and weakens the body overall. So one of the things that we did in the last year in our assisted living, because we've always had a puree meal program in our healthcare center, it's a very important part of what we do, but in our assisted living, we just recently enhance that program so that we have a wider variety of foods that we can offer for folks who have to eat a pureed diet. And it sounds like a very small thing, but it can make a very big impact for somebody who is having difficulty not only with illness, or a physical condition, but now is having difficulty eating and missing some of the foods that they previously enjoyed. So that's one of the things we're very proud of in our dining services, is being able to bring something like that to the assisted living and help folks who, we weren't really able to serve well before.
It's really neat. Some of us got to sample it, but so say it's Thanksgiving and, this particular resident cannot eat a normal Thanksgiving dinner with everyone else in the dining room, but they are able to make a Thanksgiving dinner of sorts out of pureed, and the presentation, you would really have to look really close to see that they were eating something different. And, it's a dignity issue as well. And so, but we got to taste it. And you are not going to believe it. I mean, someday we got to have a taste testing. It tastes like turkey. It tastes like corn on the cob. It was delicious. Even I think we had a hamburger type. So yeah, it really is really neat. And it was introduced in our last newsletter. I don't know if or 2 newsletters ago maybe. But some of you may have seen some photos in there that we had of that. It was kind of interesting, but that's so awesome, so we appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right. Well, I will go now. And then one thing I wanted to share also is environmental services was not able to be here today. But they did do kind of a write-up for you, and it's talking about the flu season and how to kill those germs and be healthy and disinfect your home and everything else. And so they wrote something up for us on the back table back there, if you'd like to get that. I know many of us had a little bug or 2 throughout the year this year. Hopefully everyone's on the mend. So I will go first on for my department. So I'm on the admissions side. So in my department, me and my team oversee all the admissions that move into health services. So that'd be the health center, memory care, or assisted living. And so basically in that process, kind of what we wanted to talk about today is one that comes up often, is say you do live in independent living and you do need to move to the health center or the assisted living, whichever. But so the way that goes is typically we have a waiting list. Up here, we've had people on campus that have been on the waiting list for quite a while. They're just not ready, but they want their name on the list in case for when that time comes. And so if we were to call you a few times and you pass on that, we're not going to move you to the bottom. All campus residents take priority. We can't promise there's going to be an apartment or a room in the area that you need at that time, but we can promise that if we had one room and we had somebody from campus inquiring and somebody from off campus, that would go to the person on campus. And so, but what that process looks like is for assisted living, we'll do assessments. So we have some nurses, and this is where I want to kind of hone in on Shanina and Ashley. So when you do move into assisted living or memory care, when I'm done with the initial process, then there will be a nurse that will do the assessment, or Shanina and Ashley do the assessments. But then also, once you start that move-in process, there's paperwork and things like that. You would be working with Ashley or Shanina. And they just really are such a blessing to our team, because it's just really neat to be able to, we have a good little system going. And we just want the experience, as Hillary mentioned earlier today, we want that experience and that transition to be as easy as possible. Just like the gals for independent living, same thing. When you move from your home into independent living areas, our heart's desire as a team is that it's a smooth transition and that it's something that you're glad you did, and we made that process easy for you. And so then, of course, for our memory care area, and that's a secured memory care unit, and for residents that live in there, we have 20 suites, they call them, but those folks are exit seeking. They're a risk for getting, out and lost, and they also would benefit from a smaller environment as well. And so, when you have memory issues, it's so much better on the resident and the person with the disease to be in a smaller setting and to not have so much noise going on and chaos. It's a very structured environment back there. And then for health center, kind of as we talked earlier, we have long-term care, and we have short-term. So the short-term, 98% of those move-ins do come from hospitals. We, every once in a while, will get somebody from home that needs to just come short-term, but most of those move-ins to the health center for short-term do come from the hospitals. So they're coming for rehab or IV antibiotics, wound care, things like that. And then the folks that live in our health center, they too, like Erin said, they can benefit from therapy, but they benefit from the 24-hour nursing for their day-to-day living. So in the health center, insurance goes like this, and it's a complicated avenue. So insurance is something that if you have specific questions, we could save that time we could meet together, but you can meet with myself, Christine, Joy Haverkos in the business office, because each part of the health services division, the financial piece for insurance is different. And so anyhow, I won't get into that too much, but we can certainly meet and talk about that. Folks that live in the assisted living, they still are somewhat independent, and so are some in the health center as well, but to describe the assisted living environment is that you're still independent, but you just need somebody to check on you a little bit more or help you with medications, or maybe you're afraid you're going to fall in the bathtub, so you want somebody to assist you. So we're there to help. We want you to remain as independent as possible. We're here to enhance, not take away from your quality of life. And so that's how that kind of plays out. And I know I kind of did the speedy version, but we'd love to meet with you one-on-one, and if you have more questions. So does anybody have any questions for admissions right now? Or? Okay.
All right.
All right.
If you think of questions as I'm talking, please just raise your hand or speak up. I'm Christine. I'm the Director of Social Services in the Health Center, as I mentioned, and I'm the lead of a team of 3. Joanne works in my department with me, and we also have Amanda. And the way that I see our role in our department is really we try to connect our residents with resources. So that's both resources that are available to you all when you live here in the health center where we work, or really in any part of the campus. We always make ourselves available if you have questions and you have maybe a question about some service or resource that would be available to you when you live on campus, or even when you're ready to move back into the community. Shellie talked about the admissions part of things, and a big part of what social services does is that we help with discharge planning. So oftentimes people come to Dallas Retirement for a short time to recover from an illness or to come and have rehab with your room. And so we really become involved at that point and looking at what it would take to help you get back to where it is that you want to live, if that's in the community, and maybe what resources are available through your insurance or through other means. And so if ever you have any questions about that, feel free to call. We also just try to keep a pretty good bit of information about a variety of topics, because it just, everybody's situation is different, and you never know what people might need. I brought an example of one of the resources that we help people with, and it's back on the table. I have to keep my copy in my hand. But this is, a lot of you have probably seen this. This is a copy of the Oregon Advanced Directives. It's a new booklet that's just come out in the last several months. So it might look a little different than the one that you have. But if you've ever filled it out, the one that you filled out is still valid. But this is the type of thing that a social worker in the health center could help you with. It's a planning tool to help put down in writing what your wishes are for your health care and for planning for your future. There's 3 parts to it. The first part is it's a discussion guide where it goes through some scenarios with you to help you look at some areas that maybe are difficult to talk about, bring up other points of view. The middle section is a workbook, the yellow pages, where you can really start to put down in writing some of the things that you want for yourself and that you want to make sure that your family and your loved ones know about. And then in the very back is the actual legal document part, the advanced directive itself. And this is where you make it official and you say, this is what I would want. And then these are the people that I would want to help me make those decisions if I'm not able to. And it's a fairly self-explanatory book, but if any of you have any questions about it at any time, you can always call up to the health center and we're happy to go over this with you. I understand there's also going to be a class on Friday. And if you have questions about that, you can let me know afterwards. Is it Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday, thank you. So, any questions about anything that's come up today? I know you've just been given a lot of information, but I'm hoping that some of you came with some questions in mind about any part of living here at Dallas Retirement or about the resources that we have available for you. So. Her name is Kimberly Glover, yes.
And her card is back there on the table as well.
And my card's in Shelley's. I think all 3 cards.
Yep.
So feel free to take one. And if you have a question that you don't feel comfortable bringing up in front of the group, you can always pick up our card and call any one of us, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
So, and now that Teresa's back, as she mentioned, she's our healthcare navigator. And so together, like I was saying earlier, we work on admissions as a team, but Teresa handles majority of the health center admissions. Now, if she's not available, I mean, we both do all the areas, but one big thing that we like to suggest is if you know that you're going to be having a surgery coming up, maybe an elective knee, hip, or something like that, you want to reach out to us because we want to be able to keep you on our radar. So as our rooms fill up or as we have openings, we can make sure and do our very best to get you over here at Dallas Retirement Village for your rehab. So you don't have to go to another facility in Salem. That gets kind of difficult, but anyhow.
Shellie, maybe you could share about type of insurance, because I know in the past that wasn't the insurance that was necessarily here, but now is that right?
Well, so Kaiser, as Tony said, used to absolutely, you could not come here even if you lived on campus. It's not 100% guarantee yet. It is in the works. But what has changed is they are about 99% more flexible. And I mean, before we would have family members call and beg, we'd call and beg, and it just wasn't happening because they have facilities of their own already that they contract with. But then I think as they started to see the need outside of Salem and out here, and then understanding we're a huge campus and our residents were having to go somewhere else, they reached out to us this year, and negotiations are in the works for contracts with them. And so anyhow, but yes, if you have Kaiser, forget the old rules of don't even give it a chance. In fact, no matter what your insurance is, reach out to us. you want to reach out to your insurance company to find out if they cover here. But on the flip side, that's what we're here for as advocates. And so we can help make those phone calls and see what we can make happen too. I think there is only, last time we talked, one insurance that we don't contract with. And in that particular case, our business office director did wonders and we got a spot contract for that person. But anyhow, so anyhow, great question. Thank you.
All this hospice work, when people are here in the stages of dying, I think some relates to Medicare. Is there a certain period of time? I think you have to have 2 doctors who say that you are in the stages of dying for hospice.
It's just, you have to, when to start hospice services, it really just takes one doctor to write an order, and then the hospice does an evaluation to make sure that you do truly meet the criteria. And as far as how that works on campus, we continue to provide whatever services we've agreed to provide for you. So for example, in the health center, our nurses continue to provide all of your nursing care, and our CNAs continue to provide the daily care. And then hospice comes in, and it's just an added level of care on top of what you're already receiving.
Does Medicare pay for 6 months? And what happens if the person lives longer than that? Is there a period of time that you can go off hospice?
No, if you continue to meet those criteria for hospice services, you can get certified to continue with those services. So you don't have to.
Does Medicare pay for it?
Yes.
For longer than 6 months?
It can, yes. If you continue to meet the criteria for hospice, it can continue to pay for it. Wherever you are. You could be in the health center or assisted living. You could be in the community in your own home. Hospice services can be provided wherever you live.
Is there anything we should do to be proactive, like with our insurance company, or just like, look at my hits and then?
Well, the more educated you are on your insurance plan in advance, the better that's going to be. And so I wouldn't wait for the big one to hit. I would get all your facts in a row, because we see it all day, every day. The big one, crises hits, and there's question on insurance. There's confusion, and the person perhaps didn't even have the opportunity, or might have had the opportunity but didn't take it, and now they're relying on everybody else to get that information. So the better tools in your tool belt, you educate yourselves.
And know what? Yeah, I think that's a great question, because not every plan is created equal, and not every plan covers the same things. So knowing what your plan covers is really important. And there's a volunteer organization called Sheba, and I'm not going to be able to tell you what that stands. They could connect you with these volunteers who will help you look at your insurance plan and help you understand what you have. So it's not a salesperson telling you, yeah, this is the best plan to get, but somebody who has some knowledge and experience to make sure that, for example, that your plan would cover a good stay in the nursing facility if you needed it.
Do you ever take Medicaid patients from the get-go? Again, if a person came here and needed health care and was on Medicaid to begin with?
Absolutely. It looks a little bit different for the assisted living and memory care than it does for the health center. So I'll start with the health center. So yes, absolutely we do. There is a process though. We've had people that just call, I want to move mom in today. There's a process. If the state is going to be paying the bill, majority of the bill, they have an assessment that they have to do in order to see if you qualify both medically and financially. So they'll determine whether or not you're appropriate for the health center. And it's really the same thing for assisted living and memory care, but the difference is we don't necessarily have a waiting list for the health center. It's a several day process, so it's not quick. But But memory care and assisted living, we have a waiting list easily a few years out, so. And kind of to play into that too, that's important, is if someone outlives their funds, and there is resources with the state, and so again, that is a process. You have to qualify for both medically and financially. But if you already live in our assisted living or anywhere in health services, and you run out of funds and you get on Medicaid, you get to stay here. Well, some communities you might be familiar with, if you need to go on Medicaid, you're asked to leave. And so that's one of the wonderful things about Dallas Retirement Village is we are a Medicare, Medicaid facility, and it's a blessing. However, it makes it really, really hard if you don't already live on campus to move in on Medicaid. Because we don't ask people to leave, we have to have so many private pay, so many Medicaid, things like that. And so that's kind of how that plays out. Any other questions? So we'll kind of have some closing words here in just a second, but I wanted to, Teresa and Joanne would raise their hands again. You gals over there. They are here if anybody would like a tour of the assisted living, memory care, or health center. They are going to be available as soon as we're done here. So if you could get with them right away. Is anybody interested in a tour today? Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Well, you might get two of them, you'll get spoiled. And then as Yaron said, when we're done here, if somebody wants to play on that for a little bit, we still have about 15 minutes left, so you could be able to do that. And the last thing that I want to say on behalf of our team, and I know our team, we all feel the same way, or we wouldn't be here, is we are here to help and serve and make a difference in your lives. And it may be that someone doesn't get to move into Dallas Retirement Village, but we want to provide resources. We want to be ears and hearts that can listen as you start going through things in your life that you don't even know where to begin. And this entire DRV team, I'm telling you, there's not one person on this team that you couldn't go to and say, I need some help. You know what, Linda, you could come up to Linda and say, I need help with something, anything. Linda would drop everything. She could be in the middle of making us a fancy meal, and she'll just say, give me a minute. But say you have dining services questions, things like that. And same with Yaron and Christine and everybody. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for coming today. We hope you continue to come. We do these quarterly, and our mission is to serve all of you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.